So another little video. I did one yesterday on the first snacks I got. Just having realised at the end that I didn't really provide any interesting information. Some people were interested in this. I'm genuinely interested in this. Uh, Everything you see here, you could probably get twice the quality at a third of the price in the market, which is adjacent to where I'm shopping, which is like the Chinese Whole Foods. It's a really sort of fancy supermarket. But even so, all of this there came to $18.75, which is £13.80, 128 won flat. Just to give you an idea of some of the prices. Some of them are cheap, some of them aren't so cheap. We've got here, this is 250 grams, I believe, and it's 15.90, which is sort of like £1.60 for 250 grams. Sort of like Aldi Lidl prices, but then this is the Waitrose of where I am in China. So, if you bought that in Waitrose, it would probably be like £4.50. Again, this is probably about 500 grams worth. So I guess this quality is slightly better because the prices don't match up. That's 25 for almost double. That's just a little juice because they actually give you free water here every single day. And I thought they didn't arrive today because usually they knock on the door, but she left it outside. So I thought I'd just get something to hydrate until the morning and then realize that they have all the water. And interestingly, on that point, by the way, I use this. So I bought this on Amazon for £40. It's complete titanium except the I don't know what you call it, the filter inside, which is stainless steel, but everything else is titanium. It's super light. And I've just been filling it with green tea. It's actually one of the best things I've bought. That weighs 150 grams max. And I'm just filling it with that green tea over there, and it's absolutely perfect. Anyway, going back. So I said yesterday in the video that I didn't really complete efficiently, or in which I didn't really say anything particularly interesting. They have in this supermarket the biggest snack wall of savoury weird snacks I've ever seen. And it's not even a hypermarket. It's just a regular, if not a small supermarket for Chinese standards. But they do have they do have a sweet wall, but it's not not as much as what you probably see in Europe. I mean, the savoury snack aisle in Europe would consist of just like nuts and, crisps and stuff like that. They don't really have crisps. Nuts, they do have, it's in a separate section. It's also vast. But this is just amazing. Like, I ate these yesterday. These are spiced mushrooms, and inside this big sachet, you have, I think, 7 or 8 little sachets, almost like cat food pouches. And then inside you have this spiced mushroom stuff. And I have to say, I think some of the stuff says spicy. This does say spicy on the internal sachets, but I didn't find it spicy at all, which surprises me because usually in China you'd expect something to be actually fucking spicy if it says spicy. So again, I just bought like a load of little snack things. Bearing in mind all of this, as I said, is £13.80, and just over 50% of that is the fruit, which I can get outside of the supermarket for actually less than 30%, probably 20%. It's so much more efficient going to one place. I walk in, I go straight up to the aisles. I know where they all are. It's super quiet because it closes at 11:15 and now it's 10:30. So I go at 10 and there's only half a dozen people in the store. I get everything I want. I walk back. It's just around the corner. It's perfect. I'm willing to pay a premium for that. So yeah, these are just weird little things, and they have, just this sachet. They have like 7 different types, different colors, different spices. I'm assuming this is a duck leg. Could be a chicken leg, but I think it's a duck leg. And then these are mango slices. They have several different pouches with different colors. I don't know what it means. I'm going to go and Google Translate some of these things just to see. But I'm going to eat every single thing in the supermarket in the next. I have 25 more days left. No, 23 more days left. So I'm going to eat everything. Again, just sort of spicy meat. That's pretty heavy. This looks like wings. Again, the mushrooms, some weird stuff here. Another sort of leg. And yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of everything I eat every day, and sort of conclude of what it is that I like, because I'll be coming back to China quite a lot. It's in the region. It's sort of the border between all the places other than China that I want to see within the region. So Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, etc., even Pakistan. I'm just going to keep going back to these places because I think it's the best scene in the world at the moment. But yeah, that's the gist. It's fantastic. Like all of and this is why I've always said, you always account for population. I always think Chinese food should be considered higher than Indian. I think Indian food is obviously good. Both countries have over 1 billion people, so of course there's going to be great cuisine in countries where there's 1 billion residents. I think objectively in the whole world, even though I prefer Chinese food, I think we should probably give Italians the credit because they only have like, what, 50 million people? That's a guesstimate versus, 1.2 billion, and what they've produced that you find universally. I don't think can be matched when we account for population. I think it has to be relative. But my personal taste is Chinese. I think Indian's a little bit overrated. At the end of the day, it is just shoving a load of spice in something and herbs and having a thick sugary sauce and some very dubious meat. And, of course, it's going to be tasty to the average person that isn't eating curry every day. But when you stay in India or Sri Lanka or Nepal for a while, it does get a little bit monotonous, I have to say. Whereas, just the snacks alone in China, let alone the dishes, there's probably 40, 50 different regular things on the menus, which you wouldn't find with any other cuisine. I would also say that I'm not particularly a fan of. I love Chinese food, but I'm always very hesitant eating in the restaurant. There is a reason I go to supermarkets and spend substantially more, which obviously would be the opposite in most places in the world, on food. It's because I said I'm quite health conscious. Even though some of this stuff isn't super healthy, I don't consider it unhealthy. Mango slices, of course, is going to be sugar and there's some preservatives and stuff. I consider things unhealthy like sodas and sweets and chocolate and all that kind of stuff. I don't have that, or an excessive amount of meat. Some of that is obviously pretty excessive, but I balance it sizably. I'm eating these daily. I do 500 grams minimum daily of blueberries and all kinds of other fruits. And usually if I had like a knife and stuff, which I could just buy, I'd be having kiwis and all kinds of other fruits. It's just that surprisingly in that supermarket, it was quite limited. Again, because most people are buying from the market outside. I was going to say something else, but I basically forgot. But oh yeah, so yeah, Chinese restaurants. One thing I can tell you in this supermarket, and I've already said the size isn't, fucking huge. One of the biggest sections is cooking oils. Chinese are obsessed with oils, and I've been tuning into this guy recently. He lives in Guangzhou, and he talks about how when he cooks, he wears a mask when he cooks because of oil fumes, which some people would sound some people would say that sounds pretty excessive, but a lot of Chinese people cook every day, all day, because it's affordable and they have a passion for cuisine, for foods. So, if you are inhaling this steamy, oily sort of moisture constantly, it can't be good for your body. And I have to say, the second meal I had when I was in China was that 24-hour restaurant, and I had some like heavy, heavy noodles. But the amount of oil on the plate, if you're eating food with that much oil, even once a day, it's insanely bad for your health. So that is really for me the problem. I'm not so much worried about the conspiracy anymore of like, I wouldn't say conspiracy, but the sort of old truths of cheaper restaurants reusing gutter oil, which certainly was the case, and I'm sure people are still doing today. It's just oil in food is one of my biggest no-nos, unless it's like virgin olive oil, really high quality olive oil, then it's fine. I drizzle that on a salad from time to time. But anyway, ranting. These are just going to be the videos from now on. I'm getting all my admin done, and then I can just hike indefinitely, basically. I've been traveling so much to so many different places so rapidly over the last year compared to obviously kind of the COVID scam years where I was sort of chilling out and reading and all that kind of stuff. I've actually just downloaded another 24 Kindle books, the sort of bucket list ultra classics that should be read before one dies. So yeah, getting around to that. And again, just before I leave, so it's under 10 minutes. So I stopped collecting these. These were originally on my old rucksack, which I think I did a video on. It was really one of the prettiest rucksacks that I bought in Pakistan. And this was sewed over the original brand, which was this. And I've just sewed these two together. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start recollecting all the countries. I stopped after Lebanon. And I'm going to create sort of either a quilt. For now, with the size, it's just going to be a big patch that's going to go over the stuff on my bag when you open it, like a protector that will look quite cool. But eventually I might create depending on how many I get, a sort of internal layer, almost like a sack. Everything goes in that, and then it folds over, and then you have the bag. Anyway, I'll leave it there, so it's sub 10 minutes.